Okaeri, welcome back to my channel, May Between the Pages. My name is Taylor, and today we are going to be doing my February TBR. Now, it's been a hot minute since I've done a TBR. They just kind of, the monthly structure didn't really match my life for a while there, but I am a very, organized person. I like to have lists. I like to make lists. I like to check things off. So I kind of missed the monthly kind of TBR schedule. So I thought what I would do is try to start that again this year and see if I can consistently keep up with it. If not, if it turns out to be a struggle to keep up with it, maybe monthly TBRs just aren't for me right now, and I might try another structure. But for now, I'd like to give it a shot. Now, this month's TBR follows very closely along with my 2024 goals. As always, we're more gung-ho about them right after we make them. So we'll see if I end up petering out near the end of the year. But for now, I'm really focusing on those goals. And one of the main ones is to finish series. I recently made a video of all the series I will not be finishing because I had 57 open series, which is just absolutely ridiculous. So I ended up cutting that number in half. So my goal is to really go through the ones that I decided to continue with this year. So to start this TBR off, let's talk about the first series I'm hoping to finish, which I'm very excited to be reading currently, which is the Winnowing Flame Trilogy. I am on the second book, The Bitter Twins. The Ninth Rain swept through all of the books that I read in 2023 at the very end of the year. Like I read it in like the last 2 weeks of December, and it took the number one spot. I enjoyed myself immensely reading that book. I have a full reading vlog of my thoughts along the way, as well as I talked about it quite in depth in my 2023 best of video. So I'll have both of those linked down below, so you can go back and take a look at those if you want to hear more in-depth thoughts about the first book in this series. But I am now on book 2. I started this, I think, 2 days ago, and I didn't have the chance to sit down and read it yesterday, but when I did sit down to read it, I blew through, I think it was 5 or 6 chapters in one sitting. There's already been a pretty epic battle. I'm obsessed. I cannot wait to continue with the series. So, The Bitter Twins is the second one, and then if you look at the shelf that I just destroyed to take this out, the third one is The Poison Song. I get 5-star vibes from every single book in the series, and I figure, why not just let myself lose myself in this world? I feel like I've kind of gotten out of the habit of letting myself binge series, and that's something that brought me so much joy and one of my favorite things, or was one of my favorite things about reading when I was younger, and I think I've really gotten out of the habit of letting myself do that. So part of this kind of reading series goal, kind of baked into that, is the idea of letting myself binge and just get lost in worlds for a little while, so I think this is the perfect world to start that off with. The next series that I really want to finish and lose myself in this month is The Bound and the Broken. I have thus far read Of Blood and Fire and The Fall, and Of Blood and Fire was a very good book. It had a lot of those cozy kind of, farm boy trope, classic fantasy vibes with a modern twist, so I really did enjoy my time with this. But it wasn't until I read The Fall, which I unfortunately do not have a physical copy of right now, so I'll just hold up Of Blood and Fire. But it wasn't until I read The Fall that I was like, oh, this could be a new all-time favorite. That also made my top books of 2023, so I'll have that link down below. You can go check that out if you want to hear me rave about The Fall. It's a novella, and it's just one gigantic fight scene. It never slows down for even like 2 seconds. And we follow 4 different POVs, which give us different perspectives on this battle. And it's called The Fall because it depicts the fall of the ancient civilization that we hear about in Of Blood and Fire. So it's a prequel novella to this book. And it hooked me. It showed me what Ryan is capable of in his writing. Not that this is not good, it is. And it's a very cozy kind of, you can just sink into the world and feel like you're at home if you are used to reading classic fantasy. So it definitely has its positives, but The Fall is the one that sold me. So I am hoping to lose myself in the world of The Bound and the Broken. So we have the prequel novella, The Fall, then we have Of Blood and Fire, and then the next is Of Darkness and Light, and then the novella, The Exile, and then the next one is Of War and Ruin, and then the most recent novella is The Ice. And right now he is working on the full-length fourth installment in the series. But if I can get caught up to where Cahill is right now, I'll be very excited. I'm not sure if I can do it. That's a lot of pages. Of War and Ruin, I know, is like one of those doorstopper books you can maim someone with, so I'm not sure that I'll get through all of the books, but I do plan to let myself, like I said, just fall into it and see how much I can read. I'm also in conversation with a fellow booktuber about possibly buddy reading it, because I know she really wanted to read it as well. We're still in conversation, so we're not exactly sure how we're going to do it yet, but I think it would be pretty fun to be able to bounce, my reactions and ideas off of someone reading it at the same time, so we'll see if that comes through. Now, taking a quick break here from series, the Only Good Book Club has started up again. If you don't know, it's like a private book club that I'm a part of. We all kind of got together, was it 2021, 2022, to read The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. And since then, we've always just kind of buddy read some books together, and it's like private conversations. We do it over on Discord, so it's not like really integrated into the channel, but something that I really enjoy. And it's kind of nice to have a book that I'm going to read that isn't going to be discussed on a live or for like broad consumption, just something that I can talk about with my friends. So at the end of last year, life just happened for all of us and we took a break, but now we are back, baby, and better than ever. So this month we're going to be reading the Kaiju Preservation Society, which is one that I've been eyeing up for a really long time. I don't really know too much about it, actually. It's just kind of always caught my attention, and I couldn't really tell you why. So I'm pretty happy that we're reading that one this month. I was able to find it on Scribd as something that you can read on your phone, and I hate reading on my phone, but I'm having issues with my library card right now, which I hope to fix when I go back to the States. But for now, my library loans aren't going through, so I have to read it on my phone, so that's going to be real fun. That'll be my on-the-go book. The next three here are all for Spiffbo. I am a judge for Spiffbo 9 as part of Before We Go blog, and we set up a schedule for when we're going to release each book's reviews. So I've kind of picked some that I think I can read by the review date. The first one I've already started, and that is Hills of Heather and Bone. This is the one that I've heard a lot of buzz about from like other teams and other people, as people really liking it, and I think I am 3 chapters in now. It's on my Kindle, so I'm able to read it like when I'm putting Sumire to sleep, when I can't read, like a normal physical book in a dark room and all that. So I'm kind of, that's like my baby book. So Kaiju Preservation Society will be my on-the-go book. Hills of Heather and Bone will be my baby book, and then these series will be like my free time book. But I have really enjoyed what I've read so far from it. We've got some necromancer magic. The writing is really good, and the sense of place is very well put on the page. I can clearly picture the world that the author wants us to. So that one is looking good so far. The next two I'm hoping I can pick up by the due date, we'll see, is going to be The Last Ranger and Master of the Void. Don't know anything about these. I like to go into Spiffbo blind, pretty much, so I can judge from square one. Who says square zero? Anyway, going into these without any kind of preconceived notions of what they're about, but I'm hoping, like I said, that I can get to them by the time we've decided we're going to put out the review. If you don't know, Before We Go blog has quite a few people involved in the judging process, so if one reader can't get to the book, another like 3 can. So when I say I hope I can get to it, it doesn't mean that each book isn't getting its due diligence. It just means that my review won't be part of that batch. And the last series that I want to put on my radar to finish this month is the Broken Earth Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I only have 1 book left to read in that trilogy, which is why I think it might be doable. I don't know if it's doable. There's a lot of big books here, but I am putting it on my radar because The Stone Sky is available from my local library here in Japan. So we love that for Jemisin. I'm so glad that she's over here. So if I want to take a break from one of the worlds that I've, kind of dived into, I might back up and read this book, or maybe I'll read this in between the 2 larger worlds that I hope to dive into. We'll see. But I really want to finish this trilogy. Each book has blown me away in a different way. So I'm very excited, trepidatious. I want to see. I want to see what Jemisin does. I think she's going to crush me, which is why excited might not be the right word, because the emotional beats in her story are, it's hard. It rips your heart out, but the writing is so good. I feel like I'm one of the only people in the world that hasn't finished this trilogy, and I want to fix that. So here's to hoping. And the last 2 books I want to put on this TBR, MBR kind of situation for February is from my TBR Prompt Jar. Now, I reached out to all of you guys across all the platforms, you know, Twitter, X, my community tab, Threads, all of that. I reached Instagram as well. I reached out to you guys and asked for you to give me some different TBR prompts, like, for example, read a book recommended by a friend, or read the oldest book on your TBR, like that kind of thing. Because this was before just a plain TBR jar where I would pick out a book to read for the month, but that kind of lost its luster for me, and I wasn't as excited to pick books out. So I decided to change it up and give myself a fresh look at my collection by changing it to prompts. Now, my main rule for this jar is I have to first look at my physical collection, be ebook or, you know, physical behind me, for a book that matches the prompt. And if there isn't one, then and only then can I go to a book that I don't own. But I have to prioritize books that I already own in some capacity. Because the point of the TBR jar was to read the books that I own. So I don't want to take that away from this kind of challenge. I'm going to pick out 2 prompts for this month. So let's see what we get. And when I say you guys came through with the prompts, I mean you came through. Like, it's overflowing. So I'm going to shuffle these around a little bit, so that we get, I put some in here, you know, before asking, because I thought I would just get a couple. Y'all came out with all the different prompts, and there's some really good ones in here. So I'm very excited for this, actually. All right, let's pick one from the bottom. Oh, and drop a bunch. 1, and we'll pick one from kind of the middle area. Oh, I'm dropping all of them. All right, there's 2. Okay, my first prompt is my usual genre, but a cover that I hate. Oh, that's interesting. A cover that I hate. The first thing that comes to mind is Small Miracles, because I love that book but hate the cover. But clearly I know I love the book. I've already read it. So a cover that I hate. But that's the thing. I'm so picky about what I own. I don't think I would have a cover that I hate physically behind me here. Yeah, no, I like all of these, which is why I bought them. So I'm going to have to check my e-reader, which I don't have with me. My Kindle is where? In my purse. So what I'm going to do is Editing Taylor is going to put an insert here of what book I chose for that prompt, since I don't have my Kindle with me right now and I don't want to mess up this whole setup. So yeah, I'll insert what I chose for that one, but this one's going to be fun. Okay, so Editing Taylor doesn't have to insert anything, because after filming I went and got my Kindle and I've picked the book that I'm going to do for the cover that I hate but is my usual genre, and that is Between the Lines here. I don't despise this cover, but I feel like there's so much more that could have been done with this concept of a book being ripped open. I don't know, I just feel like it was wasted potential. But I ended up getting this during a big Kindle sale because of the description, not because of the cover. And so it says, life flourishes in the book, a world of stacked realms spanning the ages, like the pages of an epic chronicle. Each page opens to domains evoking the glory of ancient empires, the passion of the Renaissance, or the adventure of court intrigue. Those who can travel between them are page-turners, blessed with the power to go from one page to the next. For investigator Fiona Thorne, turning the page is normal life. Solving mysteries is where the excitement lives. No case is too small to ignite her curiosity, no page too familiar to explore. She's determined to leave her mark in the book, no matter where her cases may lead. This is actually a very long description, so I'm going to stop there, but those were the 2 paragraphs that I read, and I was like, I think I need to have this book. So that is my choice for a cover that I hate, but in my usual genre. And the next prompt is a new to me author. Oh, that's also fun. I like that. A new to me author. Do I have any physical books behind me that is a new to me author? R.J. Barker is a new author, or Barker? I know that there was some drama with someone with a name really close. Was it Parker that was the asshole asking people to pose nude with his books? I think it was, yeah, because this is Barker. So R.J. Barker, not to be confused with the creep R.J. Parker. If you haven't heard about that drama, it's just, authors, get your shit together. I have nothing more to say about that. But he is a new to me author, but that would be starting another series. So let's see, do I have a standalone for a new to me author? Do I have a standalone? You know, I do have one, and it's a standalone for now. I think it will have a sequel eventually, but I'm going to count it as a standalone for the moment. And that is The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. I've had this one. Obviously, it's from the broken binding. You can see the beautiful edges. I've had this one since it was sent to me in the sub, and I've kind of wanted an excuse to get to it. So I think this might be the one I'm going to choose for that prompt. So obviously this TBR has a lot of big books on it. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to finish every single book that I mentioned, but it gives me some goalposts to go off of. And if I could finish one series and maybe most of another one, I would be very, very happy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell. I'd love to have you as part of this community, and I appreciate it. But for now, I'm going to head out. Johnny!